Did the knights of old truly fight for love, or just for land and glory? Did the elegant ladies of medieval courts hold power, not just through their titles, but through the whispers of their hearts? For ages past, the stories of medieval coats of arms have been told as tales of lineage, conquest, and power. But what if those intricate symbols, those fierce beasts and bold colors, held secrets of a different kind? What if they were silently shouting tales of love, loyalty, and even heartbreak? Number 7. Blanche of Castile and Louis VIII of France. The early 13th century in France was a landscape of political maneuverings and strategic alliances where the fates of kingdoms often hung on the thread of a marriage contract. Into this complex tapestry stepped Blanche of Castile, a young princess from a distant Iberian court, destined to become Queen of France. Her famous coat of arms, a striking visual blend of golden fleur-de-lis on a field of azure for France, alongside the golden castles of Castile and the rampant red lions of Leon, told a clear story of her powerful lineage. It was a heraldic declaration of a significant union, but beneath the political surface lay a story of a deep and enduring connection that would shape the future of a dynasty. Blanche was the daughter of King Alfonso VIII of Castile and Eleanor of England, herself a daughter of the formidable Eleanor of Aquitaine. Her upbringing in the vibrant Castilian court, steeped in scholarly pursuits and devout piety, prepared her for a destiny far grander than mere domesticity. Her arrival in France in 1200, a marriage arranged by her grandmother, Eleanor of Aquitaine, and King Philip II, Augustus, was less a romantic meeting and more a diplomatic coup. She was to wed Louis the Dauphin, eldest son and heir of France. The young prince and princess met for the first time on the border, a dutiful encounter that belied the formidable partnership they would forge. From the very beginning, Blanche exhibited a strength of character and an intelligence that impressed those around her. Court chronicles of the time, such as the Chronica Majora by Matthew Paris, hinted at her sharp mind and dignified bearing. She was not merely a passive bride, she was an active participant in her own destiny, understanding the weight of the crown she was destined to wear. Louis, initially perhaps overshadowed by his powerful father, found in Blanche a partner who shared his ambition and his unwavering commitment to the Capetian legacy. Their early years together, though marked by the expectations of producing heirs, also showed signs of a growing respect and affection. The political landscape of France was often fraught with internal conflicts and external pressures. Louis, as he ascended to the throne as Louis VIII in 1223, faced the ongoing challenge of consolidating royal power against powerful vassals and confronting the lingering English claims to French territories. During these tumultuous years, Blanche stood not just as his queen, but as his closest advisor and confidant. She participated in councils, corresponded with foreign dignitaries, and managed the royal household with remarkable efficiency. Her keen understanding of politics and her unwavering support for her husband's ambitions were frequently noted by contemporary chroniclers. The Annales de Dunstable mention her astute judgment in matters of state. Their shared commitment to the Capetian dynasty manifested most clearly in their deep devotion to their children, especially their eldest surviving son, Louis IX. Blanche's fervent piety and dedication to Christian ideals greatly influenced her son's upbringing, shaping him into the future saintly king. Louis VIII, for his part, supported Blanche's educational endeavors and recognized her singular ability to instill moral fortitude and kingly virtues in their offspring. This shared vision for their children's future, a testament to their unified purpose, spoke volumes of a deeper bond than mere political alliance. Their numerous children, though many did not survive infancy, were a testament to their union and their shared hopes for the continuation of their line. Tragedy struck in 1226 when Louis VIII died unexpectedly, leaving Blanche, a young widow, with a young, inexperienced son as the new king. The death of her husband, a partner with whom she had built a kingdom and nurtured a family, plunged her into a grief that was deeply personal, yet also profoundly political. The vulnerability of the young Louis IX, barely 12 years old, threatened to unravel the stability of the Capetian monarchy. It was in this moment of profound loss and immense challenge that Blanche's true mettle and the enduring legacy of her connection with Louis VIII became most evident. Blanche immediately stepped into the role of regent, a position she executed with unparalleled skill and determination. She faced down rebellious barons, negotiated with the powerful Count Raymond VII of Toulouse, and defended the young king's rights with fierce resolve. Her strength during this period, often noted by historians, was not merely political acumen, but also a profound commitment to the legacy she had built with Louis VIII. The royal treasury, the administration of justice, and the very protection of the kingdom were all managed under her watchful eye. The Chronique de Saint-Denis often lauded her remarkable fortitude during the regency. Her actions as regent, fighting tirelessly to secure her son's throne and consolidate royal power, served as a living testament to the shared vision she and Louis VIII had cultivated. Every political victory she secured, every rebellion she quelled, was a step towards fulfilling the promise of the unified France they had worked to build together. The golden fleur-de-lis of France, prominently displayed on her coat of arms, seemed to shimmer with her unwavering dedication to the kingdom her husband had ruled, and which she now safeguarded for their son. The Castilian castles and Leonese lions, reminders of her origins, symbolized the strength and resilience she brought to her adopted homeland. Blanche of Castile's life was an undeniable blend of political necessity and personal devotion. Her marriage to Louis VIII, a union that began as a strategic move on the chessboard of medieval Europe, matured into a profound partnership marked by mutual respect, shared ambition, and an enduring commitment to their family and their kingdom. The famous coat of arms she bore a visual representation of her powerful heritage, and her royal alliance silently bore witness to a love story defined by duty, unwavering loyalty, and the shaping of a nation's destiny. Her actions, her unwavering commitment to the crown and to her children, spoke of a deep affection for the man whose legacy she so passionately defended, an affection that transcended the simple bounds of a medieval marriage contract, and echoed through the very fabric of the kingdom they built together. Number 6. Jeanne de Montfort and Jean IV, Duke of Brittany. The mid-14th century was a turbulent time in Europe, marked by the 100 Years' War and the devastating Black Death. Amidst this chaos, a lesser-known but incredibly fierce conflict unfolded in Brittany, a duchy on the northwestern edge of France. This was the Breton War of Succession, a brutal struggle for control of the ducal coronet. And at its heart was a woman whose courage and unwavering loyalty redefined the very notion of a love story in a time of war. Jeanne de Montfort, whose coat of arms boldly displayed the ermine spots of Brittany, was not just a duchess. She was a warrior for loving tenacity for her imprisoned husband, Jeanne de Montfort. Jeanne was born in 1319, the daughter of Louis I, Count of Nevers. Her marriage to Jeanne de Montfort, the half-brother of the deceased Duke of Brittany, was a union that immediately plunged them into a dynastic struggle. When Duke John III of Britain died childless in 1341, he left no clear heir, igniting a bitter dispute between Jean and his rival Charles of Blois, who was married to John III's niece, Joan of Penthièvre. Claim of Charles of Blois was supported by the King of France, Philip VI, while Jean de Montfort aligned himself with the English king, Edward III, who was already at war with France. The stage was set for a conflict that would drag on for over 2 decades. The early days of the war saw Jean de Montfort making initial gains, seizing Nantes, the ducal capital. However, his fortune soon turned. In November 1341, during a siege of Nantes by Charles of Blois' forces, Jean de Montfort was betrayed and captured, then imprisoned in the Louvre in Paris. The news of his capture could have shattered any resolve. Chronicles of Jean Froissart, a widely read historical account from the period, vividly described the desperation of the situation. Jean's cause seemed lost. his claim to Brittany fading into oblivion. It was at this critical juncture that Jeanne de Montfort, then pregnant with their son, displayed a heroism that would become legendary. She did not succumb to despair. Instead, she took up the mantle of leadership for her husband's cause, a truly extraordinary act for a woman in an age when female agency on the battlefield was almost unheard of. She was determined to secure her husband's release and protect their son's inheritance. Her love for Jeanne, far from being a passive sentiment, became a driving force, manifesting as an unbreakable will and an unyielding commitment to his ducal rights. Jeanne traveled tirelessly across Brittany, rallying the Montfort supporters, delivering fiery speeches to the townsfolk and nobility, and strengthening fortifications. Her actions were not those of a grieving wife, but of a formidable commander. She donned armor, rode a war horse, and led her husband's forces with an audacity that stunned her opponents. The Grande Chronique de France recounted her spirited calls to arms, urging her husband's men to fight for their imprisoned duke and their future. She famously declared that she would rather die in battle than surrender. One of her most celebrated acts of defiance came during the siege of Hennebont in 1342. Charles of Blois' forces, vastly superior in numbers, laid siege to the town where Jeanne and her young son had taken refuge. The siege was long and brutal, the defenders dwindling. The besiegers were confident of their victory, expecting the duchess to surrender. However, Jeanne, observing the enemy camp from a tower, noticed a weakness. She then mounted her war horse, gathered a small force of 300 knights, and launched a daring surprise sally from a different gate. They attacked the enemy's baggage train, setting it ablaze, causing chaos and forcing the besiegers to regroup. When Jeanne attempted to return to Hennebont, her path was blocked. Undeterred, she rode with her remaining men for many miles to the town of Auray, regrouped, and then launched another successful breakout, eventually fighting her way back into Hennebont several days later. Much to the astonishment and renewed morale of her besieged garrison, this act of tactical genius and sheer bravery, recounted in thrilling detail by Froissart, cemented her reputation as a warrior queen. The ermine of Brittany, emblazoned on her banners, was no longer just a ducal symbol. It became a rallying cry for tenacity and courage. Jeanne's courage extended beyond the battlefield. She sailed to England, personally appealing to Edward III for military aid, effectively solidifying the Anglo-Montfort alliance. Her ability to negotiate and persuade, often in the face of entrenched patriarchal attitudes, showcased her political acumen. Her personal appeals, driven by her unwavering loyalty to her husband, were a powerful force in securing crucial English support, which arrived just in time to relieve the siege of Hennebont. Even after her husband was eventually released in 1345, only to die soon after in 1345, the war continued, and Jeanne remained a steadfast guardian of her young son, John IV's claim to the duchy. She navigated complex political landscapes, secured alliances, and defended her son's inheritance with the same ferocious determination she had shown for her husband. Her dedication was rooted in the profound love she had for Jeanne and the life they had hoped to build together in Brittany. Every sacrifice, every calculated risk, every moment of suffering during the long years of conflict was undertaken for him and for the future of their lineage. Jeanne de Montfort's story is a powerful testament to a love that transcends conventional romance, a love forged in the crucible of war and defined by unyielding loyalty. Her famous coat of arms, the simple yet striking ermine of Brittany, symbolizes the independence and resilience of the duchy. But in her hands, it became more than just a territorial emblem. It was a visual representation of her fierce devotion to her imprisoned husband, a banner of a woman who fought not just for a crown, but for the man she loved, embodying his cause with every fiber of her being. Her legendary acts of bravery and unwavering commitment stood as an unspoken declaration of a love story written in blood, sweat, and the unshakable spirit of a warrior duchess. The very land of Brittany, symbolized by its ancient arms, became a witness to her extraordinary devotion. Number 5. Agnes Sorel and Charles VII of France. The mid-15th century in France was a period of fragile resurgence emerging from the depths of the Hundred Years' War. King Charles VII, often seen as a hesitant monarch, had been dubbed King of Boors for his initial limited control. Yet his reign saw France begin its recovery, and much of this transformation was surprisingly influenced by a woman who held no crown but captivated the king's heart: Agnes Sorel. Her life was a testament to the power of unconventional love, and her distinct personal arms, often depicted with 3 red roses, were a direct testament to her king's affection and her profound influence. Agnes Sorel was born around 1422, the daughter of Jeanne Sorel, a minor nobleman. She entered the service of Marie d'Anjou, Queen of France, around 1437. It was here at the court of Charles VII that she first encountered the king. Chronicles of the time, including those of Jean Chartier, royal historiographer, describe Agnes as a woman of breathtaking beauty, wit, and charm. She quickly caught the king's eye, and by the early 1440s, she had become his primary mistress, a position that, in her case, transcended mere illicit romance. Charles VII had endured a difficult and often humiliating reign, marked by the ongoing war with England and the painful memory of his mother's disinheritance. Of him, he was a man who craved stability and affirmation. Agnes provided both. Her influence on the king was profound and widely noted. She was not just a royal favorite. She was a trusted confidant, advisor, and some historians argue a vital source of inspiration for a monarch struggling to assert his authority. Accounts such as those from the Journal of the Bourgeois of Paris mention her intelligence and her ability to encourage the king towards more active governance. Unlike many royal mistresses, Agnes Sorel did not shy away from public life or courtly affairs. She challenged traditional courtly etiquette with her lavish gowns, daring fashions, and prominent presence at royal functions. This was not merely vanity. It was a demonstration of her unique status and the king's open affection. Charles VII showered her with gifts, land, and titles, a clear sign of his deep devotion. He officially recognized her children as his own, a rare and significant gesture. The most enduring symbol of Charles VII's love and admiration for Agnes was the grant of specific armorial bearings to her. While royal mistresses generally did not possess their own official arms, Agnes was an exception. Her personal coat of arms, often depicted as 3 red roses on a field of white, became a striking emblem of her unique place in the king's heart and at the court. The rose, a timeless symbol of love and beauty, was a direct and public declaration of Charles's affection, a visual acknowledgement of her singular standing. These arms were more than just a decorative element. They were a heraldic testament to a love that defied convention and reshaped royal protocol. Beyond her personal influence, Agnes Sorel is often credited with encouraging Charles VII to pursue more aggressive military policies against the English and to reform the French army. Chroniclers like Jacques de Clercq suggested that her encouragement helped steel the king's resolve, pushing him to take more decisive actions in the final phase of the 100 Years' War. Her presence at court, vibrant and confident, was seen by some as a reflection of France's own reawakening. She was not just an adornment. She was a catalyst. Her unprecedented influence and public display of the king's affection, though a testament to their deep bond, also drew criticism from some factions within the court, particularly from the Dauphin Louis, the future Louis XI. However, Charles VII remained steadfast in his devotion to Agnes, choosing to elevate her status and publicly acknowledge her. This steadfastness in the face of opposition spoke volumes about the intensity of their relationship. King's personal letters and edicts preserved in royal archives often show a concern for her well-being and a generosity towards her that was exceptional for a royal mistress. Agnes Sorel died tragically young in 1450, possibly from mercury poisoning. Though modern scholarship suggests complications from childbirth, Her death deeply affected Charles VII. He reportedly grieved intensely for her and ensured that she received a magnificent burial, commissioning a tomb for her in the collegiate church of St. Ours in Blanche, a testament to his enduring affection. Her epitaph, which mentioned her influence on the king's efforts to drive the English from France, further cemented her extraordinary legacy. The 3 red roses on Agnes Sorel's coat of arms, a visible mark of royal favor and personal affection, are more than just a pretty design. They are a silent, enduring declaration of a profound love story that blossomed in the twilight of the 100 Years' War. It was a love that empowered a king, challenged societal norms, and left an undeniable mark on the course of French history. The roses symbolize not only her renowned beauty, but also the deep passion and influence she wielded over Charles VII, a man who found in her a source of strength and inspiration at a crucial time for his kingdom. Her heraldry became a unique, beautiful reminder of a love that was both intensely personal and historically significant. A striking visual testament to her extraordinary place in a king's heart. Number 4. John of Gaunt and Catherine Swynford. The late 14th century saw England grappling with political unrest, military campaigns, and the complex machinations of its powerful aristocracy. At the heart of this turbulent era stood John of Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, a son of King Edward III, and arguably the most powerful man in England after the king himself. His famous coat of arms, the Royal Arms of England differenced with a label ermine of 3 points, proudly proclaimed his royal lineage and immense status. But hidden beneath the layers of dynastic power and political ambition lay a love story that defied convention, spanned decades, and eventually rewrote the rules of royal legitimacy. The enduring affection between John of Gaunt and Catherine Swynford. Catherine Swynford was born Catherine de Rote around 1350, the daughter of Péan de Rote, a Hainaut herald who had served Queen Philippa, John of Gaunt's mother. She was brought to the ducal household of John of Gaunt as a governess to his daughters by his first wife, Blanche of Lancaster. It was within the bustling, intellectual, and aristocratic environment of the Lancastrian court that Catherine and John's paths irrevocably intertwined. She was a woman of intelligence, grace, and remarkable fortitude, qualities that clearly captivated the powerful Duke. Their relationship began sometime in the early 1370s, while John was still married to his second wife, Constance of Castile. This was an era when extramarital affairs among the nobility were not uncommon, but the sheer duration and public nature of John and Catherine's liaison set it apart. Their connection was not a fleeting dalliance. It evolved into a profound, deeply committed partnership that would last for over 2 decades. They had 4 children together, known as the Beauforts, a testament to the depth of their bond. The privacy of court records and personal letters from the era, though scarce, hinted a genuine, persistent affection between them. John of Gaunt, a man of immense power and influence, faced considerable societal pressure regarding his relationship with Catherine. As a prince of the blood, his personal life was subject to intense scrutiny. Yet, despite the scandal and the disapproval from some quarters, he remained steadfast in his devotion to Catherine. He provided for her generously, granted her land, and ensured the welfare of their children. This unwavering support, a consistent thread throughout their long relationship, suggested a love that ran deeper than mere infatuation. Political and social implications of their affair were considerable, yet John of Gaunt seemed willing to weather the storm for Catherine. After the death of his second wife, Constance, in 1394, John of Gaunt made a truly extraordinary decision. In 1396, after more than 20 years as his mistress and the mother of his children, he married Catherine Swynford. This act was virtually unprecedented for a prince of his standing. It was a clear declaration of his profound love and respect for her, elevating her to the status of Duchess of Lancaster and legitimizing their children through royal and papal decree. The marriage, recorded in the chronicles of the time, such as Thomas Walsingham's Historia Anglicana, caused a significant stir at court, yet it was undeniably a powerful statement of enduring affection. The Royal Arms of England, differenced by John of Gaunt's specific label ermine, were a constant presence throughout his public life, symbolizing his royal lineage and his aspirations. However, after his marriage to Catherine, the symbolism broadened, quietly encompassing the profound personal journey he had undertaken. His decision to legitimize the Beaufort children, who later played a significant role in English history, and whose descendants included kings, while outwardly unchanged, now represented a legacy, irrevocably shaped by his love for Catherine. The very future of the English monarchy was altered by this singular union. The Beaufort line, a direct result of their love, would go on to be granted their own unique arms, derived from the royal arms but acknowledging their distinct status. John of Gaunt's deep personal bond with Catherine also manifested in subtle ways within the court. She reportedly played a significant role in his domestic life and was a respected figure within his household. Her intelligence and strong character complemented his powerful presence. Their love, though unconventional by the standards of the day, was a testament to a deep personal connection that persevered through social judgment and political machinations. The fact that a man of John of Gaunt's stature, heir to immense wealth and power, would commit so publicly to a woman who started as his governess speaks volumes about the depth of his feelings. Catherine Swynford outlived John of Gaunt by several years, dying in 1403. Her will and burial in Lincoln Cathedral, alongside her sister Philippa Chaucer, mother of the poet Geoffrey Chaucer, who was also connected to the Lancastrian household, reflected her elevated status and the enduring respect accorded to her. The historical record suggests a profound, unshakable devotion that transcended the strictures of medieval society. The famous coat of arms of John of Gaunt, with its powerful statement of royal blood and ambition, carries an unspoken narrative of a love that defied convention and etched its mark on English history. It is a story of a prince who chose a woman for love, granting her and their children a legitimate place in the highest echelons of society. The ermine label on his arms, a mark of difference and distinction, also silently spoke of a deeply personal journey, a life profoundly shaped by a love that endured for decades and transformed the very lineage of kings. His heraldry, therefore, is not just about power and birthright. It is a testament to the enduring power of a love that dared to challenge the established order and left an indelible legacy on a nation. Number 3. Philippa of Hainault and Edward III of England. The mid-14th century saw England rise to become a dominant European power under the reign of King Edward III, a monarch whose ambition and military prowess reshaped the map of Europe. Beside him, throughout their long and remarkably stable marriage, stood Queen Philippa of Hainault. Her famous coat of arms, quartering the royal arms of England with the arms of Hainault, a black lion on a gold field, elegantly symbolized her origins and her powerful union. But beyond the heraldic formality, their partnership was built on a deep foundation of mutual respect, loyalty, and a love that provided stability and influence throughout their nearly 40-year reign. Philippa was born in 1314, the daughter of William I, Count of Hainault, Holland, and Zeeland. Her marriage to Edward III was arranged early in 1326, when Edward was still Prince of Wales. The union was a strategic move by Edward's mother Isabella of France to secure allies against her estranged husband, Edward II. Philippa arrived in England in 1327 and was married to Edward in 1328, shortly after he became king. Their initial interactions, recorded in early court documents and later chronicled by figures like Jean Froissart, suggested a growing affection and understanding between the young couple. From the very beginning, Philippa proved to be more than just a dutiful queen. She was intelligent, compassionate, and possessed a quiet strength that complemented Edward's more impulsive nature. She bore him an extraordinary 14 children, a testament to the fruitfulness of their union and the stability it brought to the English succession. These children, many of whom founded powerful, noble houses, solidified the Plantagenet dynasty's grip on England and extended its influence across Europe. The births of so many heirs, all surviving infancy, spoke volumes about the health and vitality of their bond. Philippa's influence on Edward was significant but often subtle. While not overtly political in the same way some queens were, her counsel was valued, and her calming presence was a consistent source of support for the king. She was known for her kindness and her patronage of the arts and scholars, including the chronicler Jean Froissart himself, who later spent time at her court. Her compassionate nature was legendary. She famously interceded on behalf of the burghers of Calais in 1347, persuading Edward to spare their lives after their town surrendered during the 100 Years' War. This act of mercy, widely recounted in historical narratives, tokaged her moral influence over her husband. During Edward's frequent absences on military campaigns in France and Scotland, Philippa often served as regent, governing England with competence and resolve. She oversaw the defense of the realm, managed the royal administration, and ensured the continuity of government. Her leadership was particularly crucial during the Scottish invasion of 1346, when she personally rallied the English forces at the Battle of Neville's Cross, leading them to a decisive victory while Edward was campaigning in France. This direct involvement in safeguarding the kingdom, a responsibility often borne out of necessity by a king's absence, demonstrated her deep commitment to Edward's reign and their shared legacy. Her actions at Neville's Cross, particularly her encouragement to the troops and her strategic acumen, were chronicled by contemporary observers, highlighting her courage and resolve. The love between Philippa and Edward, while perhaps not portrayed in the romantic ballads of courtly love, was a love built on partnership, mutual respect, and shared purpose. Edward's consistent trust in her abilities as a regent, his public displays of affection, and the apparent absence of significant extramarital affairs on his part, at least during her lifetime, all point to a deeply cherished bond. The continuity and success of their reign, often seen as a golden age for England, were undeniably anchored by the strength of their personal relationship. The royal household, under Philippa's management, was often described as a vibrant and well-ordered place, a reflection of their shared domestic harmony. Philippa of Hainaut died in 1369. After 41 years of marriage, her death plunged Edward into a deep and lasting grief. The king, known for his military prowess and robust health, never fully recovered from her loss. His subsequent years were marked by decline, both personal and political, a stark contrast to the vigor of his reign when Philippa was by his side. This profound reaction to her death underscored the irreplaceable role she played in his life far beyond her duties as queen. Her funeral, an elaborate affair, was a testament to the respect and affection she commanded, not just from the king, but from the entire kingdom. The famous coat of arms of Philippa of Hainaut, combining the proud symbols of England and Hainaut, is more than a mere record of her lineage and marriage. It is a visual testament to a steadfast and influential love story that anchored one of England's most successful reigns. The presence of Hainaut's Black Lion beside England's 3 lions proclaimed her origins, but it also silently spoke of the profound partnership she forged with Edward III. Her dedication, her wisdom, and her unwavering support provided the foundation upon which Edward built his formidable legacy. The arms symbolize a love that was defined not by grand gestures, but by decades of loyal companionship, shared responsibility, and a deep, abiding respect that shaped a dynasty and strengthened a nation. Her quiet influence, her unwavering loyalty, and her compassionate spirit left an indelible mark on the court and the kingdom, all rooted in the profound connection she shared with her king. Number 2. Isabella of France and Edward II of England. The early 14th century in England was defined by political turmoil, royal misgovernance, and a growing discontent among the powerful barons. At the heart of this unrest lay the disastrous reign of King Edward II, and intertwined with his downfall was the tragic and ultimately explosive love story of his queen, Isabella of France. Her famous coat of arms, typically displaying the fleur-de-lis of France, quartered or impaled with the three lions of England, symbolized a union of two powerful realms. Yet this heraldic representation would come to embody a tale of profound betrayal, shattered affections, and a queen's desperate bid for justice and power. A love story twisted into bitter resentment. Isabella was born in 1295, the daughter of Philip IV of France, known as Philip the Fair. Her marriage to Edward II in 1308 was a grand affair, designed to seal a peace treaty between England and France. She was described by contemporary chroniclers, such as Geoffrey Leigh Baker, as a woman of great beauty and charm, earning her the moniker Isabella the Fair. In the early years of their marriage, there appeared to be genuine affection between Isabella and Edward. They had 4 children, including the future Edward III, securing the succession. Letters exchanged between them, though often formal, hinted at a connection that began with hope and royal duty. However, the promise of their early years quickly evaporated. Edward II's reign was characterized by his excessive favoritism towards the succession of male courtiers, most notably Piers Gaveston and later Hugh Despencer the Younger. These favorites monopolized royal patronage, held immense power, and openly disrespected the Queen. Isabella, accustomed to the powerful and well-ordered court of her father, found herself increasingly marginalized, humiliated, and deprived of her rightful influence and income. The annalist Follini detailed the growing resentment within the court due to Despencer's overweening arrogance. The king's blatant disregard for his queen and his kingdom, particularly his failures in Scotland and his constant feuds with the barons, pushed Isabella to a breaking point. Her love for Edward, if it ever was a passionate one, was systematically eroded by his callous treatment and his unwavering devotion to his favorites. The historical record suggests a profound sense of betrayal on Isabella's part. She was not just a queen, she was a woman whose dignity was repeatedly affronted. The Despensers in particular seized her lands, withheld her funds, and even restricted her access to her children. In 1325, Isabella traveled to France, ostensibly to negotiate a peace treaty with her brother, King Charles IV. This journey, however, became her escape. It was in France that she openly defied Edward, refusing to return to England while the Despensers held power. It was also there that she formed a decisive alliance with Roger Mortimer, a powerful English baron exiled by Edward. Their partnership, initially political, soon evolved into a deeply personal one, a love that would challenge the throne of England. Their bond, chronicled by various sources, including the Chronicle of Lanercost, was a formidable force. With Mortimer's support and a small invasion force, Isabella returned to England in September 1326. Her return was met with overwhelming support from the disaffected English nobility and populace who had grown weary of Edward's tyrannical rule. And the Despensers' greed, Edward II's regime, crumbled rapidly. The Despensers were captured and brutally executed, and Edward II himself was deposed by Parliament in January 1327, replaced by his teenage son, Edward III, with Isabella and Mortimer acting as regents. The Vita Edwardi Secundi described the widespread relief and support for Isabella's actions. Culmination of this bitter struggle was the dark fate of Edward II. He was imprisoned and almost certainly murdered in Berkeley Castle in September 1327. While Isabella's direct involvement remains debated by historians, her power and influence at the time made her complicity, at the very least, a widely held belief. The love story that began with a royal marriage had concluded with regicide, a chilling transformation from initial hope to ultimate destruction. Isabella's reign as regent with Mortimer was marked by a firm grip on power, seeking to solidify their new authority. For a time, Isabella wielded immense power, the true ruler behind her young son. Coat of arms, the union of France and England, now symbolized her personal triumph and her role as the de facto sovereign. Yet, her rule with Mortimer became increasingly unpopular, perceived as corrupt and self-serving. Her son, Edward III, eventually asserted his own authority in 1330, overthrowing Mortimer and confining his mother to relative obscurity for the rest of her life. While she lived a comfortable life, she was no longer at the center of political power, a shadow of her former formidable self. Isabella of France's life and her celebrated coat of arms tell a complex story of a royal marriage that curdled into profound animosity. The initial promise of the fleur-de-lis and the lions, representing a powerful alliance and a royal union, ultimately came to symbolize the breakdown of trust and the dramatic lengths a queen would go to avenge her humiliation and secure her position. Her love story with Edward II began with duty and perhaps a youthful affection, but it tragically transformed into a tale of betrayal, revenge, and the ruthless pursuit of power. The very heraldry that once spoke of peaceful union became a stark reminder of a love lost and a kingdom divided by the bitterest of human emotions. Powerful actions, driven by a desire to reclaim her dignity and assert her will, left an indelible mark on English history, a testament to a love that turned to vengeance. Number 1. Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II of England. The mid-12th century in Europe was a crucible of shifting allegiances, burgeoning empires, and a relentless pursuit of power. At the very center of this grand stage stood Eleanor of Aquitaine, one of the most powerful and fascinating women of the Middle Ages. Her famous coat of arms, while not a single unchanging design, was consistently associated with the golden lions of England and the fleur-de-lis of her former French marriage, and later the lions of Aquitaine, often depicted as a single lion rampant, or 3 leopards as adopted by her son, Ritroli, purveying her vast domains. But behind the grandeur of her heraldry and the immense power she wielded lay a tempestuous, politically charged yet undeniably interconnected love story with King Henry II of England, a union that shaped the very face of medieval Europe. Eleanor was born in 1122, the eldest daughter and heiress of William X, Duke of Aquitaine. Her inheritance made her the most sought-after woman in Europe, bringing with her vast lands in southwestern France, richer and larger than those of the King of France himself. Her first marriage was to Louis VII of France, a union that lasted 15 turbulent years and produced 2 daughters. This marriage was annulled in 1152, ostensibly on grounds of consanguinity, but more likely due to Louis's pious nature, clashing with Eleanor's vibrant, politically astute personality, and her failure to produce a male heir for France. Just 8 weeks after her annulment, Eleanor made the audacious choice to marry Henry Plantagenet, Count of Anjou and Duke of Normandy, 8 years her junior. This whirlwind romance, defying the norms of careful negotiation and long betrothals, was a direct testament to the raw, magnetic connection between them. Henry was ambitious, energetic, and possessed a ruthless intelligence that mirrored Eleanor's own drive. Their union, sealed without the usual papal dispensations and royal blessings, immediately created the vast Angevin Empire, stretching from Scotland to the Pyrenees. This was a true power couple, their combined territories making them the most formidable rulers in Europe. The chronicles of the time, such as those by William of Newburgh, describe Henry as a man of boundless energy, and Eleanor as a woman of exceptional intellect and charm. Their early years together were marked by shared ambition and the creation of their sprawling empire. Eleanor brought not only her lands, but also her sophisticated Aquitanian court culture to England, enriching the intellectual and artistic life of the realm. They produced 8 children in relatively quick succession, securing the succession of the Angevin dynasty. Their sons included the future kings, Richard I and John, each destined to play a crucial role in English history. The fertility of their union and the succession of strong, ambitious sons was a powerful symbol of their combined strength and shared vision. However, the very ambition that bound them together also drove a wedge between them. Henry, consumed by expanding his empire and consolidating his power, often neglected Eleanor and increasingly exerted control over her vast ducal lands. Eleanor, a queen in her own right, was not content to be merely a consort. She chafed under Henry's increasingly autocratic rule and his numerous affairs, most notably with Rosamund Clifford. The initial passion and shared purpose began to fray, replaced by political struggle and bitter resentment. Historians, drawing from various monastic annals of the period, note the growing friction between them. By the 1170s, their relationship had deteriorated into open conflict. Eleanor actively encouraged her sons. The young king, Henry, Richard, and Geoffrey, in their rebellions against their father. She herself took up arms in support of her sons, directly challenging Henry's authority. This was not a mere domestic dispute, it was a political earthquake. In 1173, after a failed rebellion, Eleanor was captured by Henry's forces and imprisoned. She would remain Henry's captive for 16 years, released only upon his death in 1189. Despite her long imprisonment, Eleanor never renounced her claims or her spirit. Her enduring influence on her sons, particularly Richard the Lionheart, was profound. Upon Henry's death, Richard immediately released his mother and restored her to her rightful place, entrusting her with significant power during his crusades. Eleanor, even in old age, continued to be a formidable political force, traveling across Europe, arranging marriages and securing alliances for her sons. Her actions during Richard's captivity, working tirelessly to secure his release, were a testament to her unwavering loyalty to her children and arguably to the Angevin legacy she had helped create. With Henry, the famous coat of arms associated with Eleanor of Aquitaine, the Golden Lions of England, tell a fleur-de-lis, or the Lions of Aquitaine tell a complex story. They are visual testaments to a love story that began with fiery passion and mutual ambition transformed into bitter conflict, but ultimately resulted in the creation of one of the most powerful and enduring dynasties in European history. Her individual heraldry, shifting and evolving across her life, reflected the complex tapestry of her power and her personal journey. Eleanor and Henry's love was never a simple romance. It was a partnership of two colossal personalities, each striving for dominance. Their connection was undeniable, a powerful force that created an empire, bore mighty sons, and fundamentally altered the political map of Europe. Even their conflict, epic in its scale, spoke of a deep, if destructive, bond between two individuals who could not easily be contained. The lions and fleur-de-lis on the heraldry of their children and their descendants were a constant, silent reminder of the formidable union that brought them forth. Their story, etched into the very symbols of their power, was a testament to a love that was as grand, as complex, and as able as the vast empire they forged together. Their combined legacy, depicted through the very arms they carried, was a testament to the enduring, tumultuous, and undeniably powerful love story that was theirs.